Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. Again, if you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com, become a member, and join our community. Use the word discount in the coupon code if you want a discount. So we're going to dive through here, give you my financial opinions on what's going on. And here we go. So we're going to start with the DXY, the dollar. So the dollar is coming on down. That's what we've got. And yields are coming down. So they are looking like we could see an accelerated move to the downside. I think we're finally getting a little bit of some answers here because this is falling with some sort of momentum and speed. And we're also seeing the 2-year yield start to top out and work its way lower. So I do think that's going to head lower. We've got wicks at the top here. We've got a larger selling pressure move, and we're struggling coming on up. Wicks at the top that generally indicates that we could potentially head lower, hopefully soon. And I think the DXY will also follow suit. So what we could see is a shoulder ahead and potential shoulder develop where we do head lower. That is going to be jet fuel for precious metals as this yield curve uninverts. We've got the 10-year also coming back down. We do have a little bit stronger selling pressure here today. We'll see if we can get some momentum to the downside. If that is the case, we could see precious metals come back alive again. The 30 years also heading a little bit lower. We do have a wick on the bottom, so it's not across the board, but the short end definitely looks like it wants to come down. So we'll see what the long end does. The TYX TNX ratio looking like it's trying to put in a bottom here to move higher. It's a bullish engulfing pattern. That is a reversal candlestick to move on higher. What does that mean? Well, gold links up with this ratio quite well. So if I were to put gold and put gold in a new panel, whenever we go from a cheap area to an expensive area, gold does very well under those conditions. So when the curve uninverts, gold generally does well. I do think that we could see this curve uninvert. I do think we could see gold do well, or precious metals in general. So that's what we're looking at there. And bond prices are also firming up here. And we'll see if we can get a break to the upside. Now, it's not broken out yet. So we're still kind of in that in-between phase of where we could go. But the 2-year yield, we are seeing weakness in that 2-year yield. It looks like we're trying to put in a top here where we could fall. So let's keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens, and we'll see what assets do well here. So that curve coming down, the dollar coming down, gold likes that, and it looks like it wants to try to move higher here. So that is your hammer candlestick. It is bullish, and I do think we could see it move on up. We are sitting on support of the bigger picture view right above support. Great spot to be looking at precious metals. Silver down a little bit. I know we had a big, kind of a larger up day yesterday, but we're right on support. Again, if gold heads higher, I think silver will follow suit. Platinum also coming to life a little bit down here, up $12, 1.23%. I think if gold heads higher, I think platinum will go up with it. So that's where we're at with the precious metals. XAU to go ratio down a little bit. The miners underperforming the metals themselves. Again, we have not broken out of this long-term downtrend line, and that's what we need to work on. We need to work on breaking that to the upside. We do have a lot of selling pressure in this candlestick here. There's a bunch of selling pressure through here, so we'll see where we go. I still like the miners. Are they my favorite sector? They would be if they broke out of this stinking thing. And if we saw the TYX TNX ratio go up and get into a solid uptrend, we break this downtrend here, I'm going to be ultra bullish on it. I'm just watching it. I'm still bullish on it. Still own some gold and silver mining companies, but I'd be even more bullish if we could break that stuff. The CRB index heading higher today. That is positive. It's breaking back above this resistance area. We've been bounce, and then we were bouncing under it. It's breaking back above it. We've had kind of an undecisive period through here, all through here, all indecisive. Like, where are we going to go? We're going to go higher, going to go lower? Is it recession? Is it not a recession? Who knows what's going on? During these times, I just hold on and ride it. But with oil up, natural gas up, it looks like commodities are doing quite well today. The CRB to S&P 500, it's still showing it slightly lower. I find that hard to believe when commodities are up 2.55%. And let me see here. The S&P is not up that much, so this should have gone higher, not lower. So I don't know what's going on there, but that should work its way on up if the CRB index was up that much. GDX, it does still look good here, guys. Why do I say that? We've got the big bullish candlesticks here, and the selling pressure is just drifting. Like, it's waiting for something to push this higher. So I still remain bullish on GDX, still remain bullish on GDXJ above its support level there. There we are. And then SILJ up a little bit, still within the pattern, still needs some oomph to break out of here if we're going to move anywhere. Again, we haven't broken against gold itself. These gold and silver mining companies are still lagging. I think we need higher gold and silver prices for the mining companies to really take off. Crude oil ripping it today, up 3.6%. We've been just moving back and forth here, guys. We'll see where we go. We can see if we break out. We'll see if we get inventory draws. I know we had an inventory addition recently. And again, during these times where we're kind of indecisive, yields are going back and forth, I just sit in it and wait. I'm waiting for the markets to squeeze up. And I'm still bullish. I think that there's going to be inventory draws in the second half of 23 and in 24. And I'm just waiting for that to happen. Natural gas up 9.22%. Again, I like it when it's basing out down here. I think it's a good spot to be looking. And I think that the markets they could be tighter than what people expect, depending on the weather in Europe. And that's going to have an impact on Henry Hub and all these other ones in liquefied natural gas pricing. But it's up today quite a bit, 9.22%. XOP, yeah, you know me, still riding on its trend line here, right on top of it. And I'd like to see another surge to the upside saying, hey, look, we're getting out of here. That's what I'm looking for. I am positioned heavily in natural gas and oil, but it does look good. It looks like it's putting in some good candles here. Let's hope that momentum can continue. OIH is also putting in good candles. We hit the support line down here. That's that support line going through. We hit it again there. We bounced on up, and it still looks good to move on higher. So hopefully crude oil can get some of its super high intensity training together, SHIT, and move on up. Again, we got a little bit of resistance. We can break through here and get moving. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, getting close to that 1815 level. I like the way that this looks. It doesn't look too bad. Is there some sort of pattern here that we're going to get where we might spit back out? We'll find out, guys. Again, it's going to try to attack that 1815 level. We want to get above it, stay above it, and then run. It looks very good on the monthly perspective. There's your resistance line at 1815. We want to break up above that, get up there, and run. Again, this takes time. It doesn't mean that it happens immediately. It could happen immediately, but it doesn't have to happen immediately. We've obviously been chugging sideways here since September of 21. A lot of people getting frustrated with uranium. I'm not really getting frustrated. You just wait. You just wait. URNM looking quite strong today, 1.82%. It is putting in a nice little candlestick. It's still broken out. And I do think we'll eventually work our way higher. There's a possibility that this does come and do a little bit of a larger retest. It's possible. I'm not predicting that. But we're on top of the pattern. That is basically the big thrust forward. So I do think eventually we'll work our way up. And URNJ also bouncing off support, still looking quite good. TAN thrown in a big bullish engulfing. That looks very bullish to move on higher. The buyers responded to yesterday's selling pressure. I think it looks really good to move on up now. Notice in the short term, I'm flip-flopping back and forth. This here is a bearish candlestick. This here is a bullish candlestick. We're flipping back and forth at the dead period. The dead period's where the buyers equal the sellers, and we get no real large volatility. It just goes sideways. That generally precedes a big move. Hopefully, a big move in TAN's coming here at any second. COPX also continuing to put in some good buying pressure here. We got a little bit of selling pressure throughout the day. We could head a little bit lower in the short term, but we're bouncing back and forth in this entire region. And that's generally a good time to be looking at accumulation. We've got the double bottom, and then you look for areas of retest. So that's a good spot right there in the circle, which is a good spot for a retest to purchase. Lithium also adding some good 2% update. We saw the breakout here in lithium, and I do think it's going to work its way on up. So lithium looking good. It's breaking out. Everything's intact to move on higher. Same with rare earth metals. That's also putting in a bullish engulfing on top of a breakout. That looks good to work its way on up. I would have been, looking at this in this general location for REMX and lithium, and I do think we could head higher. SPX continuing to move on up. Still looks good to move on higher in the short term. I know people say, "Oh, I should be in the S&P 500." Guys, this is going to top, and we're in a bull trap probably, and work our way lower eventually. That's the big picture view. Why is that? Well, I think that because of interest rates, inflation, and the overall market. Now, it's possible we even make a new high here. It's possible. And maybe we do an extended high or something like that, and then it crashes back down. I don't think that the inflationary pressures from the demographic are through the system yet. So this is where I think it's very dangerous to be looking at the S&P 500 when it's real close to all-time highs. It's dangerous because I don't know if those market conditions have changed for the S&P 500 to do that well in. We're not seeing a decline in commodity prices, in my opinion, on a medium to long term. And that's where the problem is, because the S&P 500, most of these companies, all they do is fling commodities through their manufacturing facility. And if we don't solve the supply side of commodities, their input costs are going to go up and their margins will get squeezed. That's what I think will occur. It's just not occurring in the short term right now. Same with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ continues higher. We're moving on up. That looks good to continue higher for a period of time. And then I think we'll eventually roll on over again. I think it's a bear trap, a bull trap. Bear trap for commodities, bull trap for the overall markets. Emerging markets liking that weakness in the dollar. I think this looks really good to move on up. This is a spot that I would be looking, is emerging markets and the areas that emerging markets eclipses. So whatever makes up emerging markets, those are the markets I would be looking at. This looks really good to move on higher. We've got a really good setup. This is the consolidation period, the three humps. We came up, broke out, had a massive retest all the way down here. Now we're starting to get some buying pressure. I think emerging markets looks really good. XHB continuing to move higher. This is where a lot of the strength is coming from, and I think it looks like it will continue to move on up. So that looks good. MOO is also moving higher. That looks fantastic to move on up. This is the agribusiness ETF. So that looks good. Copper still holding its own, looking good, coming off support right underneath us. Does look like it could continue higher in the short term. Iron ore, again, I think this is going to work its way on up. We've broken out of this pattern here, and it will work its way on higher. Nickel up 2.9%. Again, I'm looking for things to move on up. I think the markets are stronger than what most people think. That's my opinions there. We've got good construction going on with manufacturing construction, with residential new builds, all that stuff. It's a pretty strong economy at this time. Aluminum down a little bit, but I think this still looks good. Looks like we're putting in some sort of basing pattern, and hopefully we can work our way on up. We did enter this from the top side, though. But aluminum out in the future, I do think there's going to be some tightness in 2024. Baltic Dry Index up a little bit, 0.5%. Again, we need to break this guy up here. And we're in a new uptrend if we can break that resistance line here. Newcastle coal still basing out. I think we're getting close to an area where I would be looking for accumulation. Again, it's going to take some time. We're real early here. So let this thing base out. And then I think eventually, like natural gas, it'll base out and start to work its way on up. Ethereum up a little bit. It's holding together on support. We'll see if this breaks to the downside. We have a lot of downside momentum here. So we're going to watch that. And Bitcoin also right on support, and we'll see where this goes. I don't have any money in Bitcoin or Ethereum. I just watch it for the heck of it. But that's what we've got for today, guys. That's the entire market that I'm seeing. Base metals look pretty strong. Oil's strong today. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks, which direction we're going to go. Is the paper market going to win, or is the physical market? Uranium's looking strong. That looks really good. Hopefully uranium can get its butt in gear and start moving to the upside. Emerging markets looks really good. That's the one I would be looking at. Home builders still holding together. The S&P 500 holding together. NASDAQ looking good. Looking good across the board for the most part. But that's what I've got for today. Thumbs up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. And guys, we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.